I will teach you the concept behind the System.out.println, we can say that it's print in the Java. So let we explore the concept behind this statement, what is the meaning of this statement and why we have to write down a big statement like System.out.print or println to display a simple message, to display a simple message on the screen. So let me start. Now I will start with the concepts, basic concepts of the Java. Now Java is a pure oops. Java is a pure oops. So now let me just get some idea about the oops. What is the meaning of oops? It's an object oriented programming language. It is the object oriented programming language. Otherwise we can say that it's an object oriented programming system. So Java is a pure oops, means Java supports this thing. Now I will teach something. Let me clear some basic concepts about the oops. In oops, the basic concepts, otherwise the main focus is on object, and object is an instance, means a real-time entity of the class. Object is an real-time entity of the class. Now let we note down some points for the class. Now class is a group of data members, means we can say that it's an variables and methods. And if you want to access anything outside the class, outside the class, it must be public. Public means what is the meaning of public? We can access public member outside the class. So I will just write down public means we can access outside the class. Now if you want to access anything outside the class, first we have to check is it public or not. If it is public, then we have a permission to access that member outside the class. After this, we have to check that member is static or non-static. Means first we have to check that member is public or not. After that we have to check that member is static or not static. So if that member is static, then we have to use class name to access that member outside the class, and if that particular member is non-static, then object is used to access outside the class. Okay, now I will just explain this thing by an example. Firstly, I will repeat this thing. Java is a pure oops. Java is a pure oops. So let we examine what is the meaning of oops. Is nothing but an object oriented programming system, and Java supports this methodology. Means in Java we have to follow this oops concepts to write down the program. Now oops means object oriented programming language, and main focus is on object. The main focus is on the object. Object is nothing but an instance of the class. Object is an instance of class. So we have to we must be familiar with this class. So what is class? It's an group of something like variables, means some data members, and methods. Okay, now if you want to access anything outside the class, then we have to firstly check that function or that variable is public or not. So firstly we have to check if it is public, then we can access that particular member outside the class. After that we have to check that member is static or non-static. So if it is static, then we have to use class name to access that particular thing, and if it is non-static, then using object we can access that public member. So now let me take a simple example. Like consider I have a class named demo having two different functions. The first one is display, having some content, and one more member I have, that is show, having some content. So firstly, if I want to allow a user to access this member outside the class, I have to declare them as a public. So now consider both this member are public. Now I want to declare this member as static. Now what is the meaning or what is the story behind this static? I will explain it in further videos. Okay guys, so now I have two different members in my demo class. The first one is display, another one is show. The first one is display and another one is show. So now if you want to access this display outside the class, firstly what we have to check, Is it public? Yes sir, it is public. So we have a permission to access this display outside the class. And after that, what we have to check? If it is public, then we have to check, is it static or non-static? Is it static or non-static? So what is that? So it is a static one. This display is public and it is static. So if you want to access that particular display function, then we have to use a class name because it is static. Why we have to use class name? It is public, so we can access that member outside the class, and so we can access outside class and static. That means we have to use class name. What is the class name here? That's nothing but a demo to access that particular member, access that particular method or a member. Is it okay? Now I want to access this show method. So firstly, what I have to check, is it public? Yes, it is public. Then what we will do, we can access that one outside the class. We can access that one outside the class, but it is non-static. So what we have to do, we have to create, otherwise we have to use an object of that particular class to access member. Okay, so now consider, I have a demo, I have an object, and the name of the object is D. Now let me provide the memory allocation. Please do not worry about this statement. We will explore the statement in further video. Now using this object, we can access that particular show method. Now let me revise this thing. I have a class, and inside that class I have two different function. So if you want to access any of this function outside the class, firstly what we have to check, is it a public or not? In my example, both these members are public, so we can access these members outside the class. And after this public, we have to check that particular member is static or non-static. So this member is static, and show is non-static. So if you want to access display, then we have to use a class name like this, demo.display. And if you want to access show, then we have to use an object to access that member. Now I want to explore the concept behind, I want to just explain the concept behind this statement. So what are the rules? Let I just copy the rules. Okay, and after this, let me just write down this statement. So in Java, we have a library. And actually that library is known as a package. And inside that package, we have a predefined class, and that predefined class is a PrintStream. Now in that class, we have a public function, and the name of that function is print, and another function is println. Some arguments are there, I do not want to focus on that. So right now, this is the concept. We have a predefined class named PrintStream, and we have a function which are already defined, which are the methods, which are the members of that particular class. So now if you want to access this class, if you want to access this member, like I want to access this print, or I want to access this println, as per the rule, what we have to think? Firstly, we have to think, can we access that member outside the class? For that, we have to check the visibility mode. Is it public? Yes sir, both these members are public, so we can access them outside the class. Now we have to check, they are static or non-static. Sir, these members are non-static, so we require an object to access this member outside the class. Now the object of the PrintStream is already declared, PrintStream object, and the name of that object is out. It is already declared inside some other class, okay. And the syntax is like, that particular object is static and public of system class. I will explain once again. Okay, now this is nothing but in Java library. I will just show by opening the library. Okay, now these are nothing but in Java. This is nothing but in Java library. Now my requirement is, I want to access this print method. So firstly, I have to check, is it public? Yes sir, it is public, so easily we can access. So I want to just call this method. But now to access this method, we have two options. The first one, is it static? No sir, it is not static. So one more is there, it is non-static. Yes, then we require the object of that PrintStream class. and the object of the PrintStream class is nothing but an out. So we have to use out here to access this print. But now, as we can see, out is a member of the system class. Out is a member of the system class. So once again we have to apply the same rules on this out. Is this out is a public? Is this out is a public? Yes sir, it is public. So we can access this out outside the system class. Okay, that's cool. Now let me check, is this out static or non-static? Sir, it is static. So how to access that static member? We have to use a class name. Out is a member of which class? It is a member of system class. So we have to use system to access this out. I think you are getting this one. What is the meaning of that? We want to access this print. Print is a member of this PrintStream class. So we need an object of that, and that is out. Now out is a member of the system class and it is a static member. So we need an object, so we need a class name, and the name of the class is system, so that this statement is there. Now let me check, let me check out is inside the system or not. So I'm just trying to start in command prompt. Let me start the command prompt, and I want to write a command, and that is java p and java.language.system pipe more. So I want to just check in real this variable out means an object of the PrintStream is declared, is it a member of system class or not? Let me check. So right now, focus here, we have an variable out means an object out of the class PrintStream, and it's in public static. It is a public static member of the system class, So if you want to access this out outside the system class, we need, it's in static, so we need any class name, so that we have to write down System.out. Now let me just open this class PrintStream. Now I will apply the command java p, that is java.io dot a class name. So now I want to check a print method, is it in member? Yes, print is in method of which class? It's in method of PrintStream. Yes, it's an overloaded function, means it has a different argument, like it has an long, float, double, and here the println is also the member of the PrintStream, and all these members are a public, not an static. They are not the static, so we can access an object, otherwise we have to use an object to access these members. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any doubts, then you can write down in a comment section, and if you want to download some Java codes or some Android codes, like predefined projects, then you can download it from my website www.gisurat.com, and we also provide online as well offline training